Construction News Tracker is presented by Caterpillar and produced by 4constructionpros.com. Local dollars is what the Trump administration's infrastructure plan calls for to rebuild America's roads and bridges. The 55-page document calls for $200 billion in federal dollars to spur a $1.5 trillion spending effort on roads, ports, and airports, with the majority of funds coming from states and municipalities. The plan has two key components: funding for new investments by cuts from existing programs, including $178 billion in cuts to transportation programs, and second, streamlining the permit process to get projects underway in 2 years or less. Half of the $200 billion over 10 years would go towards grants for transportation, water projects, flood control, and cleanup at hazardous materials sites. States and local governments could use no more than 20% of the federal funds, a far cry from the previous level of 50% on major construction projects. 50 of the $200 billion would be earmarked for rural projects after some lawmakers complained that public-private partnerships would not work for sustainable rural projects. And in a surprise move, the president called for increasing the federal gas tax by 25 cents per gallon to help pay for improvements. January saw the Dodge Momentum Index slump from its December high of 151.5 down to 143.7, a reduction of 5.1%. The monthly measure of non-residential building projects in planning, the commercial component, was 7.8% lower, while the Dodge institutional component was off 0.9%. Analysts believe the January retreat returns the index to a more sustainable level. Construct Connect has unveiled its 2018 spring forecast that runs through 2019, and it's solid. The construction information and technology solutions provider sees a 5% average annual rise in construction starts. Chief economist Alec Carrick says that recognizing states and municipalities are taking the lead with infrastructure, he's forecasting that road starts will increase 6.9% and bridge starts 9% this year. Carrick's forecasting is based on the metrics of a 3% GDP growth rate, increased fund spending from a recently enacted federal tax reform plan, and global trade improvements. The Construct Connect report also envisions non-residential building starts will drop 1.6% this year, but total non-residential building starts will average 2% annually from 2019 through 2022. The greatest obstacle facing our nation's home builders is the availability and cost of labor going into 2018. The NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index found that 82% of home builders found labor issues as a significant problem facing them in a recent survey, compared with previous years. The issue is far from minor. It has grown in importance since 2011. Building materials price increases is another area of concern for 77% of home builders. 62% of those surveyed said that the availability and cost of development lots for homes in the recovering market would be a problem in 2018, while lesser issues were impact and hookup fees and local and state environmental regulations. A Tennessee Advisory Commission reports that state needs $48 billion of infrastructure through 2021. The figure is an increase of $2 billion from last year's estimate. Transportation and utility projects require the most funding at $25 billion, followed by school upgrades at $10 billion. Weather information problems bring added challenges to many parts of the nation, including the state DOTs. In Wyoming, officials are looking into the potential of leasing or building housing units for first responders and highway workers. The challenge comes around the Jackson Hole area, as additional housing is needed for state troopers, maintenance workers, snowplow operators, and avalanche mitigators. All need to respond when called to incidents, and some live out of the area over Teton Pass in Idaho. Housing design plans call for upwards of 24 units to house the employees, and the Wyoming DOT is trying to find funding to carry those plans forward. Finally, in closing, he is truly wise who gains wisdom from another's mishap. This is Construction News Tracker, looking over the industry that makes the world a better place, presented by Caterpillar and produced by 4constructionpros.com. Follow us on social media at Twitter using hashtag Construction News, YouTube at 4constructionpros, and on Facebook at /4constructionpros, as the streaming web never ends.